Welcome to the Philadelphia Sports Table Podcast Show, the longest running weekly Philly sports podcast show in the world. 12 years strong. We're celebrating and commemorating 12 years here at the PST Podcast Show. I'm Jeff Warren. As it says on the screen, I'm here with my buddy Eric Leonard. We are on video, Eric, here, man. It was pretty interesting trying to get this figured out to start the very first video show, man. Good to see you, buddy.
You too. Yeah, I had to wear pants for this one, just in case to stand up. And I actually have to pay attention and look at you, look at the other host.
I know.
Yeah.
Well, it's funny how, you're like, you know what? I think I need to get a light over here for myself. I may need to have a different setup at this point. This is going to be a new endeavor for us. We're going to be learning as we go along here.
Well, I mean, the stereotype of the middle-aged guy in his parents' basement doing a podcast.
Yes.
This is my basement. I own this house.
Yes.
But yeah, this is my basement. There's no denying it. There's wood panel. You can see my beer fridge over here.
Yes, You pay the mortgage, so
yes.
You can do whatever you want. Have that beer fridge back there, the wood paneling. You're paying the mortgage.
I am.
There you go. Have that Reeb. That's beer for all of you out there. All right.
Code. Yeah.
Yes.
So our parents don't find out.
Yep. We got a great show this week. Again, to start us off here, we are first and foremost going to be getting into some Philly sports history. This is something that we used to do so many years ago on the show. I think even before you came on the show, Eric, Len and I, we would dive into some Philly sports history. I'm going to bring that back for a little bit, see how that goes. And then from there, we're going to get into some Phillies talk. Phillies proved that they certainly can hang with the Los Angeles Dodgers. We're going to get into that, as well as Jordan Romano really stinking it up. And from there, we're going to get into a brief Eagles talk about the meetings they've been having in terms of some pre-draft visits and how we're hoping this draft inevitably goes for the Birds. And then we're going to be getting into a bunch of Sixers talk. We've got Sixers trophies and awards that we're going to be handing out this season. I know Eric's got more than a few that he's going to be handing out. I've got some as well. And then what we're throwing down on the table this week, we've got our good friend Sean Barnard from Fox Sports Phillies, The Gambler, and Pick Swap Media, that great podcast. He's going to be joining us for a discussion about how terrible this Sixers season was and what's in store for this team as we're already looking towards the offseason. So let's start off with some Philly sports history. It was interesting, going through the computer. I was going through the computer and happened to come upon some moments in Philly sports history. And in April of 1934, specifically April 8th, 1934, the Philadelphia Athletics and the Philadelphia Phillies played their first legal Sunday baseball game in Philadelphia following the state of Pennsylvania's decision to allow Sunday games to be played. Then April 13th, 1954, the Philadelphia Athletics won their final opening day game in Philadelphia, defeating the Boston Red Sox 6-4 at Connie Mack Stadium. And now this marked the beginning of their last season before relocating to Kansas City. April 6th, 1968, the Philadelphia Flyers, they secured their first ever NHL playoff victory by defeating the St. Louis Blues 4-3 in the quarterfinal round of the playoffs. And then from there, we're going to move to 2004. April 12th, 2004, the Philadelphia Phillies played their first regular season game at Citizens Bank Park. Although they were defeated 4-1 by the Cincinnati Reds, the game marked the beginning of a new era in Phillies baseball. And then finally in 2010, the Philadelphia Union, the city's major league soccer team, the first major league soccer team here in the city of Philadelphia, won their inaugural game home opener by defeating DC United 3-2 at Lincoln Financial Field. So, Eric, there's some sports history in the world of Philly sports that happened this particular week all of those years ago.
Oh, the first one, I mean, I'm assuming the Sunday thing was like a religious
I guess it
angle.
had to be. It had to be. I'm not 100% sure, but the state actually made the decision for I'm not sure if it was Phillies or just professional sports teams in general to be able to play games on Sunday. And that was 1934. I mean, that's not even 100 years ago at this point.
Yeah, and that was like not long after Prohibition, I think.
Yeah.
And Pennsylvania's always had some weird drinking laws. I wonder if that's with the religious angle and the drinking law thing. Maybe that's why they couldn't do it a Sunday.
Yeah.
There's certain segments of society now that kind of want to go back to that.
Yes.
Hope that doesn't happen. Anyway, for the Flyers, that their first playoff win, what year was that in history?
With the that was the let me see here really quick. That was April 6th, 1968.
Okay, was that their last playoff win? Or as a franchise? No.
Boy, it feels like it. It absolutely feels like it. Jeez.
I'm just throwing shade because I don't know much about the Flyers and the history of things. So
I know.
Yeah, and the Phillies 2004. I was actually at that game in out in left field.
Were you actually at? Were you at that game?
Yeah, about 20 rows up behind left field,
nice.
And one of the drunker crowds I've ever seen. Because I mean, I went to the first and last game at the Vet the previous year. Didn't think people could get any drunker than those, but the bank proved me wrong. That it was. I think the fact that people could just walk around for the first time at a baseball game, like openly and not have the fear of like tumbling down steps. There was really nowhere to stand and just watch the game without security guards just bum rushing you, say get the hell out of here at the Vet. Right. So it was much more relaxed atmosphere, but it turned into more of a Margaritaville situation at Phillies games. And very drunk.
That's a good way to describe it. Very good way to describe it. So, all right, well, that's a first segment we wanted to get into here, Philly sports history this week. And look, folks, there's every now and again, whether it's Eric on the show or Len on the show, sometimes we're going to have some breaking news. We may be able to get into it, may not be able to get into it right before we hit the record button. Eric, I know you will not be able to talk about this, so totally cool. But Daniel Gazdag from the Philadelphia Union was sent to Columbus, and the Union are getting some cash. So Len and I are going to be talking about that in particular next week on the show. I'm not going to make you talk about the Philadelphia Union at all. So, I mean, you probably would only have maybe 2 or 3 words, maybe.
How much cash is involved with an MLS player? What is it? 40,000?
Perhaps more than that.
I'm a soccer fan now because my son plays, and I do watch some MLS. But like, I also know how much money they make, the everyday players. So I can't imagine how much cash was exchanged between those two franchises. It's
probably not that much. I mean, it's not. No. We're not talking MLB or NFL type money when it comes to Major League Soccer and stuff. So it's not that much. I know a lot of.
Is Daryl Morey the GM of the Union now? Is he just selling players off, or?
Apparently, he's probably infiltrated it in some way, shape, or form here.
We might come back to that later in one of the later segments.
Maybe Josh Harris is a new owner. Maybe we'll come back to him too.
Where's he been?
Exactly. Oh, God. Well, folks, let's get into some Phillies talk here. The season has been positive for this Philadelphia Phillies team. They won their first, as of us recording this, their first 3 series of the season. And that last series with the LA Dodgers, the Philadelphia Phillies really proved that they're able to hang with the Dodgers, beating them in that recent series. So I think, as we were talking about this pending season, this 2025 season, Eric, we were talking about, and I was talking about it with Len as well, that, whether or not we should be excited for this season and where this team could potentially go, because this is a talented team. But there were just a lot of naysayers. Again, we talked about it here on this podcast platform. Should Phillies fans be excited for where this team is at right now? Absolutely. They should be. And look, we got to go through this entire season before any postseason play. The Braves absolutely stink in this division. They are horrendous at this point. It's amazing to me where that team already is at. Us Phillies fans, we should be really excited about where this team is at right now, Eric. And I think some of the naysayers coming into this season, they should be eating crow right now, and they should really be taking a step back to say this Phillies team is one of the best in Major League Baseball here.
I haven't heard eating crow in a long time.
Yeah.
I appreciate
I got to pull them all out. You know that.
If I had a bingo board or whatever card, that one would not have been on there, but I think I have to put it on there because it's up there with see the forest of the trees.
Yes.
Yeah.
We need to have we need to have a Jeff bingo card. I think my horrendous phrases.
I think now that we're on video, the three of us, Len included, we should have our favorite Jeff sayings, or
Yes.
like, yeah, that he says the most.
Like, like if I see an attractive looking lady or something like that, oh, I wouldn't throw her out of bed for eating crackers.
That's always been my favorite one, because you said it the first time I heard you say it, you just said it out of nowhere, and I'm like, what'd you say, Grandma? Like, what? Where did this come from? We're like in our 20s, and you just said it out of nowhere. It's great. Any Hoosies,
yes,
the Phillies.
Philadelphia Phillies, yeah.
If you're not excited, get the frig out of my town, man. Like, I don't know what to tell you. Like, the Sixers are a dumpster fire, which we'll talk about later, of course. The Flyers won tonight, but like they're kind of going nowhere and been going nowhere for a while. The Eagles, thank God, won the Super Bowl. I mean, the Phillies are just one thing that's jumped out to me this year. They're 8-3. They should have won last night too. I watched the whole game. I let the Braves back into it. That's going to happen throughout the year. But just what a professional baseball team. Yeah, I know it's a cliche, but like they just have professional hitters, professional pitchers all over the entire roster, top to bottom. And like tonight, Trey Turner, I've given him a lot of shit on this show, and hit a home run.
Sometimes rightfully so.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. He's faltered in the playoffs. He did last year, but comes up, hits a home run, puts us up 4-3. They win the game. Alvarado comes in to close it out. Taylon Walker has been phenomenal. He's had 2 starts this year.
It's amazing.
Yeah, almost no ERA. He's filling in for Ranger Suarez, who's going to be out for a while. Just stepped up and he's doing his job, and that's what you expect with a expensive veteran laden team like this. And there's been bad examples of that throughout baseball history. Some of the late 2010s Phillies that still had Chase Utley for too long, and Ryan Howard. That's a bad example of that. But this is just a really good, solid team. Schwarber is just destroying the ball.
Yeah.
0 for 4 tonight with 3 strikeouts. Doesn't matter. The guy has 5 home runs. He just continues to hit. Harper's doing what he does. Seems really healthy. Stott, I think I talked about him in the pregame, the pre-show, like the preview show. Has to be the guy to step up this year. Really doing well in the 8th spot, batting .280, and just a really good team. And the pitching is phenomenal.
Except for one guy.
I was going to bring him up. I went through the pitchers tonight. I did not see his name. Thank goodness. I think that's why we won the game.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, honestly, a close game. Phillies ended up winning as we're recording this on Wednesday night. Look, Jordan Romano is a problem here at this point. We all know that he's allowed at least 2 runs in 3 of his 5 appearances to start the season. Again, as we are recording this, he's been behind in the count, slow to the plate, and pitched with just very diminished velocity, quite frankly, in the early going here. And it's something that Rob Thompson's going to need to get a handle on. And this organization's going to need to get a handle on. And I know Dave Dombrowski has been catching some flack about bringing him on board. But look, Jesus Luzardo, I mean, he has been absolutely electric through his starts. And even Joe Ross has actually pitched well enough to enter the mix for late inning leverage type situations. But when it comes to Jordan Romano, I am not at all convinced that somehow he's just going through some early season slump. The issues and injuries that he had last year, it could really be coming back to bite him. And I'm really concerned about where he's going to be within this bullpen and really how Rob Thompson's going to be using him. It's definitely one of the biggest concerns on this team right out of the gate, Eric.
Well, I hope he doesn't use him. I hope that's the solution. I think from what he's looked like so far, almost beyond injury at this point. But you never know with relief pitchers. You never know with baseball players.
Right.
But I can't throw too much shade at Dombrowski. Just when you have such an expensive team already and you have limited, you have limitations in what you can do in the off season, you got to take swings like Max Kepler right now. He's batting .212, but he's, he might turn it around. He might be okay.
Yeah.
Jordan Romano might be okay. Like it's the same as, what the Eagles did in the offseason last year. You bring in, you how many bites of the apple, whatever term you want to use, like darts at the board. And some are going to work out. Joe Ross looks fantastic. Alvarado looks fantastic. I know he didn't sign him, but like maybe Jordan Romano doesn't hit. That's okay. Like if there's one position at the trade deadline that you can upgrade, it's always relief pitcher. Like as long as you have a good closer, middle relief, you're okay. Like there's plenty of opportunity to pick up somebody down the road. If the bats keep hitting like they're hitting, maybe Romano gets some time to like get healthy or get right, whatever you want to say.
He's got a 15.75 ERA.
But he's been extremely disappointing. I'm not downplaying it. I'm just saying to give Dombrowski shit for it is just like, okay, he tried. He gave him a shot. It's not like they're trotting him out there every day and he's losing games left and right. We're 8-3 right now. They won tonight. It's just one of those early season, like, damn. Like I think I even referenced him during the previous show. Like, this guy might do something for this year. And I don't think it's gonna happen. But like you said, they picked up Luzardo. He was terrible last year. He was hurt.
Yep.
And he looks like not an ace, but like, he looks like a great number 3 pitcher, and he doesn't even have to be.
There are guys on this team that have stepped up big time right out of this gate. I say stepped up, but it feels like JT Realmuto, as much as I had a concern about him right out of the gate, just kind of maybe on the downslide of his career, is that arm throwing from behind home plate all the way to second base. Like, it seems like he has not missed a step at all. And in fact, I think it was the first game against the Dodgers, if I'm not mistaken. He basically took over the whole game. And it was like a JT Realmuto game. I sit back and I'm like, you know what? I think he's going to be fine. I think he'll be fine this weekend, if he stays healthy. And so there's a lot of various elements on this team that, one, like you're saying, got to be patient when it comes to certain elements on this team, but others that we kind of had some questions about coming into this season, some of these players have just been performing really well and at a high level.
Well, yeah, and to go back to my point of, I call them a veteran-laden, experienced team. They can also step up to the moment, Yeah. They had the world champions coming into their house. What was it, last weekend? And man, just took 2 or 3, but like kind of kicked their ass a little bit.
A little bit.
Kind of stole that one game from them, and like, I got a feeling they were in that locker room being like, nah, let's go. Like they're not better than us. They are better than them. I mean, just look at the roster. But I feel like they took that series personal. And I know it's early in the season, but that kind of stuff matters down the road, especially for the younger guys. Like Stott and Baum. Like, they need to see that stuff. And I thought that series was really, really important, and especially for Realmuto, who I think might have taken some of it personal as well, because there's no way he wasn't hearing like the whispers of like, maybe when is he going to start playing first base?
Right.
Because he can't be a catcher forever. I think I even mentioned that in the previous show. Like, is this his last legit season at catcher? And then you got to figure out where to put Harper, because you got to stick Realmuto at first, because he can't be behind the plate the rest of his career. So
yeah. It's been a fun season. Like Eric said, this team is 8-3 as of us recording this. A very successful thus far Phillies season. And we are getting ready to take a break here, folks. And with that said, if you are not following us on various social media platforms, here are some areas where you can follow us, whether it's Instagram, on Twitter. I'm over on TikTok. I'm putting up some videos every now and then. My kids have actually said, Eric, they've actually said, you know what, you're doing a pretty good job, Dad. I can't believe it. So also we're on Facebook.
TikTok?
Yeah,
okay.
Yes, they actually said I'm doing a good job with it somehow, for some reason. Threads we are on, and also Blue Sky as well. Follow us on various social media sites out there. So as Eric drinks a beer here, we are going to take our first break here, and we'll be back in just a bit. All right, we are back, and now we're going to get into this Philadelphia Eagles offseason even more here. How are we hoping that this draft is going to go for the Birds? They have been talking to a number of players and prospects, and they've had several pre-draft visits, and we're talking about them looking at every position from cornerback to safety to defensive tackle to, of course, edge rushers as well, offensive tackles, offensive guards as well. Next week on the show, we're going to have a PST special podcast where I'm going to be talking to Matt Waldman, one of the best NFL scouting prospects that there is out there. Comes on the show once a year. We talk about these prospects right before the NFL draft. So stay tuned next week for our discussion with Matt Waldman. But Eric, I have never felt a time being an Eagles fan where I'm going into a draft and I'm hearing about all these pre-draft visits with all these different positions. And I think to myself, if they take this guy, if they take this position, if they decide to go in this direction, I'm going to be fine with it. Like, I'm just going to be fine with it. I feel like aside from, yes, I think a need at cornerback, of course, the defensive line from an interior pass rush standpoint to edge rushers as well. I think those are going to be priorities for this team in the trenches as well, even from an offensive line standpoint. I feel though any first round pick that Howie makes, it's going to be like, all right, yeah, this is going to be great. This is going to be fantastic. Whoever it's going to be. Same for the second round as well. This is a team that has 20 draft picks over the next 2 seasons. It's astonishing. And they may get more. If the Eagles trade back out of the first round, they're going to have more. So I don't know. I've never felt this with this Eagles team where any draft pick that they make on day one that I'm going to be totally cool with. I don't know. Are you feeling that as well?
Yeah. The past, like when the Eagles were like at the lower end of the first round and they would trade out into the second round on Thursday night, there'd be a bit of like, we spent 3.5 hours watching this, right?
Yeah.
What is it? Next Thursday, 2 weeks from now?
Yeah, 2 Thursdays. Yeah.
I don't care what they do, man.
Yeah.
I don't like this is the definition of playing with house money. Yep. And I'll say that because like here's the reason why. We look at the roster now that free agency is over pretty much. They brought everyone back for the most part. Like I'm not worried about who left. Josh Sweat might be the most like concerning one.
Right.
But I feel like his position and like what he brought to the table is kind of replaceable in the first or second round, honestly, or in free agency down the road. Or so the roster, number one, number two, the way they kick the shit out of the Chiefs is still fresh in everyone's mind. It wasn't just like, oh, the Eagles played well. You know, they kicked the crap out of the like one of the best teams in the league in front of how many people, millions of people. And it was like, why I can't possibly get upset for 1 second about what they do in the
You're
draft.
right.
What I will say though is I think since this is the definition of playing with house money for Howie, like I could see him wheeling and dealing left and right because you're not going to keep 20 players on the roster over the next 2 years from the draft. So I think why not go after a veteran or two if they're available, you know, not unlike the AJ Brown trade, but not quite like to that caliber, but like just something like that we're not really sure. Like, you know, that'd be kind of move to like fill in some holes on the roster that like, because this team's not a little older, they're young, but like there's, you know, you're already in winning mode. Yeah. If you want to bring a guy that's like 26, 27 who can like help you in the next 2 years, go ahead and do it. Because, you know, part of your agenda, like what are we hoping we see? I hope Howie does his thing. I hope he doesn't rest on his laurels and sit back, be like, I got one in the trophy case. I'll just take my picks.
Yeah.
If there's guys out there, there's rumors about players that could help us. Like, dude, do it. I'm down.
Absolutely. Yeah. If you even if you do take some future picks from next year, you package them together to bring that next safety. You know, I mean, maybe I don't know. Maybe they are able to get a Penn State safety, Jalen Reed, perhaps. Maybe they can get him. Maybe they feel that he might be the future at the safety position. But when you look at the fact that Sidney Brown might be back there this coming season, Reed Blankenship has certainly proven himself to be certainly more than a serviceable safety. But if you're bringing in somebody on a CJ Gardner-Johnson level-ish, somewhere around that degree, and you're trading some picks to get that person from another team, that player from another team, absolutely do it. You know, I would say the same for the defensive pass rusher as well. Mm-hmm. I think that's where if you want to package some of these picks to make a deal with another team to bring an already established player onto this team, this is the absolute year to do it.
Oh, easily. And it's a great trade-off. I mean, if he sits back and just takes the best player available, offensive lineman or defensive lineman, because that's kind of where that's the smart move, and that's kind of what he does.
Yeah.
Totally fine with it. If he makes a move where he brings in a veteran and trades away future picks, cool. It's a can't lose draft, which in the past, like you and I are big NFL draft fans, and NBA draft for me too. It's like heart attack night. Like,
yeah,
you got to make the right move if we're going to win this year. And I hope that is, you just mentioned defensive end. I hope that's the position they target, either through a draft pick or through a trade, because as you saw in the Super Bowl, that's how they won that game. They just dominated the line and just took over.
Absolutely. I don't have anything else here for the Birds, but again, folks, we're going to be getting into some Eagles talk and certainly some prospects talk next week, again, on our PST special podcast, where Matt Waldman's going to be joining us, one of the best in the business. He's going to be jumping on to talk about a ton of offensive prospects. So let's move on here. We were diving into the Phillies. We were diving into the Eagles. Now we've got to get into the Philadelphia 76ers, who, Eric, we have not talked about very much at all over these past few weeks, and for very good reason. But this week, and here on our inaugural video podcast, we have, folks, some Philadelphia 76ers awards and trophies that we want to hand out to certain individuals either on this team or affiliated with this team. Eric, I know you've got some. I've got two base trophies that I want to give out. So why don't you start off with a couple, and then I'll do one, and then we'll kind of just go back and forth.
Okay. I have a bunch because this is my team, and this has been one of the most peculiar seasons they've had in a long time.
Yeah.
I haven't really cared about them too much beyond them losing. So this was actually fun to sit down and come up with some awards for this god-awful team that just I will never remember or look back on. I'll never have my grandkid let me tell you about the 25 Sixers. Like, wow.
Yes. 25 Sixers. Boy, what a season that was. Oh, boy.
Yeah, it was just no one really played. I mean, we'll get to one of my awards here to commemorate that. So the first award I'm giving out, or trophy, whatever you want to call it, and some of my references are old because I am old.
Okay.
The Al Cervic Award.
Ooh.
In honor of the Rodney Dangerfield character.
Here's the trophy, folks. Here's one of them that we're giving out right here. Look at that. Boy, that looks stellar.
Can we break these in half next time? Just because this is how bad the season went. Like, this one goes out to Paul George.
Okay. Ooh, the Al Cervic Award. Okay.
Yeah, because at one point in the movie, he gets hit by the golf ball at the end. He goes, "Oh, my arm, it's broken." And he just starts shaking it.
He goes like that.
Yeah, like that.
My arm, it's broken.
Yeah. So Paul George, about 30 games into the season, goes, "Oh, my finger hurts. All of a sudden, my back hurts," and then he's done for the year.
Yeah,
exactly. Just done. Like, exit stage right. I love it because you weren't helping us anyway. Right. You had a few good games. We need to start tanking, but like that dude's injuries, just there was no explanation. Yeah. I don't know exactly what's wrong with him. Yeah. Besides doing more podcasts and scoring points this year, but like he might be cooked. Whatever. I'm just happy that he sat his ass down due to this injury, to allow us to be the 5th worst team in the league and hopefully keep our draft pick. So thank you, Paul George.
Very nice. You know what? We're going to be getting to Paul George again. Okay. Or maybe I should just do my trophy now.
Yeah, just do it. Yeah.
Because it's a Paul George trophy. It's called the mystery trophy. And it's kind of what, in the same regard of your particular award and trophy when it comes to Paul George. So mine is the mystery trophy. And what I mean by this, folks, is what kind of Paul George are we going to end up seeing from here on out? Because there are already questions coming into this season about what type of NBA player he was, how he was going to fit with Embiid, how he was going to fit with Tyrese Maxey, the impact that he was going to have. It is still a mystery. It is still a mystery what type of player he is. And I'm certainly going to be getting into it with our guest on this week's show in just a bit, Sean Barnard. Is Paul George washed? Is he washed at this point? We don't know. Is he going to be a serviceable player? He's certainly not going to probably be the player that he was even 3 years ago. But the mystery trophy I'm giving to Paul George here, and I love you gave him the Al Cervic one. Paul George, he deserves a lot of trophies and awards at this point.
Because the injuries came in fast and with no explanation. Except, and I swear, if one was like finger in the box, the box score out with the finger. I know you're a big JFK fan. The movie.
I do like the movie.
He's an enigma wrapped in a riddle at this point. I don't know what he's bringing to the table next year. No clue. I don't know who he is as a player or even a person. Because when he started complaining about, I'm not happy right now. I'm not having fun. Like, I don't care.
Yeah, exactly. Goodness. Like,
I don't want to play center. We're paying you $50 million. Get your ass in the center right now. Like,
who do you think you are? Yeah,
I know. I have no idea.
Nice.
Yeah.
What's your next trophy here?
Okay, these next two are going out to the same person, but two separate. One is positive and one is negative.
Ooh, right.
The Desperate Bachelor Award. Okay. You know how there's a stereotype of a woman who has to get married, like her biological clock is ticking. Well, there's a male version of it, and
I used to be that in the 20s.
Well, I know. I didn't mean to say. I don't want to say it out loud, but
yes.
But the Desperate Bachelor Award goes out to Daryl Morey.
Oh, yes.
For deciding to give Joel Embiid a massive extension without knowing if his knee was healthy, if his head was right.
Yep.
And he came into camp. He played in the Olympics for no reason whatsoever. He looked terrible over there. Came into camp looking awful. Had a horrible season. He might miss next year because of his knee.
Right.
And Daryl decided, but we have to treat our players better because of the James Harden thing. I have to show the league show the players in the league that we treat our players with respect. So I'm going to give this possibly broken down 7-2 guy $195 million extent. Like, it's just outrageous. What a desperate attempt to woo like the rest of the league's players. But I'll say this: he recognized that things were going south really quickly. So I'm going to, and he shifted on a dime to the tank mode.
Yeah.
I'm going to give him the Gordon Gekko Award for absolutely liquidating the Sixers franchise in a matter of a couple of weeks, in my opinion. It was amazing how fast he did it. He sold players.
A double trophy. Yes, this is a double trophy.
Two trophies for Daryl. One, a horrific move as a GM, but
there's
what a makeup for it to try and keep our draft pick. Now, if they keep the draft pick, awesome. If they lose it, he should be fired, and we'll take back the awards. But what a great job in setting up the tank.
It really was. Boy, I'll tell you, I love that. I love the whole Bachelor thing. I love that because it's like you're just trying to see what works.
Yeah.
You're really just trying to see what works. Oh, I'm going to take a gamble here. I'm going to.
It's like
it's me in my 20s.
Oh, I know. I was there. I was right next to you watching it. But and I thought of you when I came up this award. But like, he was so worried about how badly the James Harden situation when he's like, we need to send a message that we treat the Sixers treat their players really well.
Maybe he didn't want another investigation by the NBA. Uh-oh.
Oh, but yeah. Exactly. There's other ways to get around that than giving this hulking, gigantic man who may not be able to play basketball anymore a $200 million guaranteed. That's a mistake.
Yeah. Very good. Very good. Yeah. Well, for me, and it is really obvious, this is an obvious trophy and award here with regard to the trophy for the worst Philly sports owner. And that goes to Josh Harris, of course. And look, there's a lot of folks not happy with Josh Harris simply because he's more focused on the Washington Commanders, who have a lot more promise than this Philadelphia 76ers team right now. And who knows for the future. But Josh Harris not having a good pulse on what is going on with this team, not only during this season, but who knows what's going to happen in future seasons. So Josh Harris, he gets, and it's right up there with Mr. Sugarman from the Philadelphia Union, another absolutely terrible owner, but worst Philly sports owner. I think at this point, I'm saying it's got to be Josh Harris. He is going to get that trophy. I
mean, here's my next award. I'll go right into it.
Oh, all right.
And this is a very obscure in memoriam of Val Kilmer. It's the Ghost in the Darkness Award goes to Josh Harris. It's one of Val Kilmer's movies from the 90s. I enjoyed.
Yes.
And I'm just
R.I.P. to Val.
Yeah, and the movie has nothing to do with this at all, but the word ghost is in it. Josh Harris he owns the Commanders and the Devils now.
Yeah.
I don't think he gives a rat's ass about the Sixers whatsoever. I don't know if he signed off on that Embiid contract. I'm sure he did because he's the owner, but like no input whatsoever. Haven't heard a word from him on this disastrous season. I kind of understand it. I probably wouldn't either, because who wants to say like, hey, I'm kind of responsible for this piece of shit this year. But yeah, I've never, it's tough to, what was Norman Brayman, the Eagles owner back in the 80s, 90s. I mean, Buddy Ryan used to call him the European guy or something like that, because he didn't even care about the Eagles. He was just living in like France or some crap.
How can
Josh
you
Harris
own a professional team? How can you own a professional sports team worth billions of dollars and you just don't care? I wonder what type of life that would be, where you just don't care. That's astonishing to me.
See, I wouldn't want to be that wealthy, because so wealthy you don't care about things.
Yeah,
you know, like I don't even, I'd like to be wealthy. No problem there.
Right.
But like I just want to own like one team.
Yeah.
And just care about that.
That'd be nice.
I wouldn't want to own 3 teams and be like, I like the one, the other 2 are just a tax write-off. Like, who wants to live life like that, you know?
Yeah, forget the Jacksonville Jaguars. Hey,
yeah, exactly. Yeah. I got 3 more awards real quick.
Yeah.
Let me blow through these.
Yeah.
Again, this is a total 80s reference. I hope the younger kids get this. But the Ducky from Pretty in Pink Award, which is your classic nice guy, goes out to Tyrese Maxey and Jared McCain. Huge,
they really are
spots.
Nice boys. They nice boys.
Real sweethearts. Tyrese Maxey went at Joel Embiid at one point during the year. And even the way he did it, from all accounts, is that it was very like, come on, man. Come on. You got to step up, and, you know, like that kind of, it's like he didn't get in his face, and it wasn't a Gilbert Arenas, handgun situation. It was just Maxey was like, hey, come on, dude, you got to be better than this. And Jared McCain, just a sweetheart of a guy on TikTok. Yep. Awful that his knee broke. It's kind of cool. The 2 of them are coming back next year. Yes. They'll be totally healthy. And it's like, what do we have there? And they're nice guys. Like I'm very happy about that. I got 2 more real quick ones.
Yeah.
The James Corden Award.
Oh.
And this is basically anything this guy is in is completely ruined because he sucks. Goes out to Quentin Grimes. Now, Quentin Grimes is good, and I'm a big fan.
He's been playing well.
I know, but we're trying to tank, dude. Stop scoring points.
Stop scoring 22, 25 a night. Just score 15.
Stop with your 28, 6 and 6 nights.
Yes.
We want none of it. Yes. We can't put you on the bench because the league might investigate us at that point.
Right.
I mean, so many guys are just like done for the year in totally mysterious ways. Like Tyrese Maxey's a back issue all of a sudden. He's like 24. Come on. It's completely ridiculous. But and I dislike James Corden severely. I dislike.
Never knew this.
Grimes.
I never knew that you did.
Oh, he's horrible. Like
I don't think we've ever talked about that. The dislike for James Corden.
Do you like him?
No. Honestly, I'm kind of indifferent. I mean, I couldn't care less. But
I just find him obnoxious. I think he's like the new Ellen. Just kind of this obnoxious. Like,
it's a good comp.
When is somebody gonna point out, like, man, he's annoying as hell? Like, are we gonna talk about this? Like,
well, you're doing it now.
Yeah, I am. I'm hoping this is the beginning of his downfall of his career.
Oh yes.
And this is my favorite one. And it's no shade on this guy, because he's probably gonna be out of the league next year. Just the WTH award. Who the hell? It goes out to Colin Castleton. I mean, I just can't believe, like, there's tanking, and then there's tanking on the level of Colin Castleton. I'm bringing up his numbers for tonight real quick.
Bring up the numbers, because you know what? I don't know those numbers at all. I don't. And guess what? I shouldn't know those numbers.
No.
At all.
Okay, so I'll get to his numbers tonight, but I remember last week, it was like a week or 2 ago, and I flipped the Sixers on. I'm like, what the hell? Let me watch the first quarter, right?
Right.
And Ala Abdenabi's going through the players. He's like, and the Sixers brought in Colin Castleton. and they're showing him warm up, and they're showing his stats, and I'm just like, I knew the tank was bad. I don't know it was this bad.
Right.
Like a 7'1" white guy weighs 140 pounds.
Right.
Like what the hell happened to this season? Like he was just the epitome of like in 2014 when they tanked, and I'm like, I don't even know who's on the court. He was like, I'm like, oh my God, who is this guy? Good Lord. He had 28. He played for 28 minutes tonight. 28.
Did he really? Oh my
28 minutes. There's only how many minutes in a game, Jeff, in an NBA game?
Perhaps more than that.
Yeah.
but still, there's. My gosh.
He played 28 minutes, had 2 points and 14 rebounds, 4 personal fouls.
Eric, my gosh. What a great award. Let's bring it up real quick. Here we go.
Yes. That's my favorite one.
Yes.
Because this is probably it for him. So.
Oh my gosh. Wow.
Yeah.
Can you imagine Nick Nurse being like, you know what? Got to put Colin in. He needs 28 minutes tonight.
I mean, he was trying to lose tonight to the Wizards, but they're so bad. Like they even 20 minutes of Castle Collington. I forgot Colin Castleton. Who gets it's some shitty name. I forgot it already. But yeah, like
I love
God bless the kid. But yeah, we played him 28 minutes tonight, and yeah. By the way, Andre Drummond didn't play tonight because of left toe.
Ooh,
that's where we're at with this team.
Toe fungus, maybe.
Maxey did not play for right finger. This is on the box score.
I'm still on the toe fungus thing. Get him some Blue Star ointment.
It's so gross.
Tetter, psoriasis, ringworm. I don't know.
We
why
need to do more of these.
I know.
The awards are fun.
Great.
Yeah.
These are great.
Yeah.
Put up these stupid graphics like this. Right? It's so stupid.
I know.
It's great. All right, buddy. Well, we're going to get to the interview this week with Sean Barnard from Fox Sports Phillies, The Gambler, and Pick Swap Media, that great podcast. And you got anything else, buddy, before we head out of here and head to break?
First AU tournament this weekend down in Westchester, Pennsylvania, right outside of Philadelphia. So
nice.
Go Mid-Penn Motion.
Nice.
Yep.
There you go. All right, folks. Well, again, real quick, social media sites here at the Philadelphia Sports Table Podcast Show where you can follow the show. You can follow Eric or myself. Len, he's taking a break, and it could be a permanent vacation from social media. We saw him this past week, said his mental health's been doing a little bit better now that he's off social media. So check us out there, and we're going to see, hopefully, Len next week. Hopefully. If there's issues, Eric, we may be needing to do the show together next week.
Do I have to drive to his house?
I don't know. No, I would drive there, for God's sake. I'm the one that wanted to do the video here. So, all right, buddy. Well, I'm going to let you go. We're going to take a break, folks. We'll be back in just a bit. Joining us this week from Fox Sports Phillies, The Gambler, also Pick Swap Media. I specifically subscribe to that podcast over on Apple Podcasts. We have got our very good friend of the Philadelphia Sports Table Podcast Show, Mr. Sean Barnard. How you doing, Sean?
Yeah, Jeff, appreciate you having me back on. Unfortunately, I guess looking forward to this season finally winding down, as this has been a more off-the-rails Sixers season than I thought even the worst-case scenario was. But we are almost to the finish line, and then hopefully better days on the horizon.
Absolutely. Thank goodness we're almost done. Well, I mean, as you said, it's been a pretty terrible season for this Philadelphia 76ers team, and we're already looking towards next season and what the future holds for this organization, this franchise, and this team. And thankfully, there's only a couple more games left in this season. But you know what we are looking forward to seeing is if the Sixers team is really able to keep that top 6 protected pick from OKC. I mean, that's on everybody's mind right now. And the Sixers, of course, want to hold on to this draft pick if they can. And if they do, Sean, 2-part question for you here. What does this pick mean for the team's future if they are able to keep it? And even though, Derek Queen is the player that some are saying could be coming to the Sixers via the draft, but I'm wondering also, who do you see them possibly drafting? So again, 2-part question. What does this pick mean? And who do you see possibly coming to the Sixers if they're able to keep this pick?
Yeah, the draft lottery will truly be a pretty fateful day in franchise history here. And I kind of look at it as when you think through this era, obviously this championship window was assembled around Joel Embiid. I think the Tyrese Maxey draft pick extended that window. I think the Jared McCain draft pick created a new window. And I think this draft pick, if they're able to keep it, is a way to blend all of those together there. But they have to be able to keep it for that to be possible.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, it is purely at the mercy of the ping pong balls. It will be a straight random drawing, and the
Yep.
Sixers are pretty locked in to a 64% chance of keeping their pick there. So obviously they're pretty like last offseason was the offseason in which they were wheeling and dealing, making their notable news and building things up. This was one where there was going to be a little bit lighter, that there aren't that many directions they can kind of build out this team currently. I know that's incredibly disappointing, and especially after a season like that. But this draft pick, having this is truly their best chance at adding like a high caliber talent. So they need to keep that at all costs. So definitely send some good vibes in the ping pong ball's favor.
Yep, absolutely. I'm wondering, is there a specific talent that you're really looking at? You know, if they are able to keep it. Again, mentioned Derek Queen, but is there anybody else, maybe coming from the college ranks or even overseas from an international perspective, that may be a good fit? Not just a fit, but maybe able to really come on this team and make an impact right off the bat.
Yeah, Cooper Flag's the headliner of everything,
Yeah,
and there's a 10.5% chance the Sixer will land the one pick, which isn't, there's you could be in a much worse
could
spot
happen.
here. To
Right.
the Sixers' credit, they
Yeah.
have certainly gone all in on the tanking approach in the second half
Yes.
of the season here. So, like Cooper Flag, I think from day one would be a guy that you step in and you're talking about a starting five. I get there's question marks next to some of these guys, but if you're talking about a potential starting five of Tyrese Maxey, Jared McCain, Cooper Flag, Paul George, and Joel Embiid, you're in a good spot heading right into next year. Beyond that, I'm a big fan of Ace Bailey out of Rutgers. That's a guy that I also think kind of fits the role the Sixers need as far as sort of a power forward, sort of a big man that can kind of play in different settings. Bailey's a guy who has to clean up some stuff, but the raw talent and just the energy that he plays with, I think is really infectious, who I like there. Dylan Harper will probably be regarded as the number 2 prospect pretty universally also on that Rutgers team. That's definitely disappointing that they missed the playoffs there. And there's other guys as well. I'm not as high on kind of the guard class, a guy like Trey Johnson. I'd rather
Yeah.
stay away from just from the standpoint of where the Sixers roster is currently at. I'm not the
Right.
biggest Derek Queen guy in the world either. I have some skepticism about his full NBA fit, but the talent is certainly there. So the biggest thing is having a chance to keep a pick and physically get a guy in this top 6. But there's a lot of young talent. This is one of the better classes to have this type of opportunity.
Absolutely. And like we mentioned, I mean, this is a crucial draft. It's a crucial time for the 76ers franchise and organization as we're looking ahead, because there is one particular player on this team who just 2 years ago, Joel Embiid, was one of the greatest Philly sports figures and athletes, completely beloved and still is to a large extent. But just after the injury history over the past couple seasons, specifically this year, you know, what happened last summer and how that trickled into this coming season. Sean, the guy won the MVP of the NBA just 2 seasons ago, even though he went through a lot physically back then. Now it feels like we're just at this crossroads a couple years later here. So I'm wondering, like, how should we really be looking at Joel Embiid from here on out? Him going from one of the greatest Philly sports figures and athletes, somebody who is beloved, to now us questioning as fans, where is his career going to be going? What are your thoughts here, buddy?
Yeah, and it's amazing how quick it happens, that it's less than a calendar year ago that this dude was scoring 50 points in a playoff
Yeah.
series here, and this is the state of what it is here. This is certainly the biggest crossroads of the Joel Embiid era, and for the first time, it does feel like there's some friction between him and the organization as far as what the approach is. Those are tough conversations to have, as you can never truly know what a guy is feeling like except for what they tell you, that no one can kind of understand their body except for that person directly. And I
Yep.
think that's a lot of the biggest issue here. Some of the options that they looked at as far as the surgeries for him were some sort of like experimental procedures and things like that. None of it paints a very bright future for what it could be. But like at the same time here, I don't think the days of Joel Embiid playing basketball are over. I don't think the days of him playing basketball at a high level are over. Do I think his MVP days are over, or him as a top 5 guy in the league?
Yeah.
I think that
Yeah.
is probably the case there.
Yeah.
But I still think there's very much a world where this guy is a highly impactful player on the Sixers team, and sort of the power balance within the organization begins to shift, where Tyrese Maxey is a little bit more of the front and center guy. Jared McCain takes on a little bit larger of an offensive role. This potential draft pick is a guy who is at the forefront of the production, and Joel is not asked to be a guy with a top 5 usage rate year in and year out, as has been the case throughout his career here. So the biggest thing is about his physical level. They're going with an arthroscopic surgical approach. I'm not super optimistic about that. Basically, any NBA athlete can get that done at any point, and it's sort of just a clean up the knee type thing. There does not seem to be any structural damage there. The biggest rift between them was the Sixers stance. Basically, your body's going to adjust the more you play through the pain and figure things out. And Joel's saying that I'm just not right. Like, the knee does not feel right here. So he's going under the knife again. This is the second surgery on that same knee in 14 months. Maybe this will be a wake-up call or things click the right way this time. But at this point, it's kind of based on, let's see how his body responds. And it wouldn't shock me if this time next year we're talking about a little longer scale recovery surgery for Joel.
Yeah, it's interesting where his career certainly has gone, and there's another gentleman on this team where it's interesting where his career has gone as well. Lots of us fans talking about whether or not Paul George is basically washed at this point. We know what kind of season he had. It was a challenge for him from a health perspective. And yes, again, injured to start the season after he hyperextended his knee in the preseason. Sean, what are your thoughts on Paul George here, potentially, quote, being washed at this point in his career?
Yeah, I'm more optimistic about a Paul George bounce back season than a Joel as far as for next year specifically. I think some of the how Paul George played or how bad that he was gets a little overstated. He certainly was not great by any means here. And I don't think we're ever getting the max contract $52 million guy that we kind of thought we signed here. The guy that has been a 10-time All-Star, been in the league forever and performing at a high level. But I do think he'll be better than this year. To be completely fair to him, like, he dealt with the injuries, as you mentioned. That first knee hyperextension, I thought he tore his ACL when it happened live, and kind of like tough way to start. And then the groin injury, he was getting injections just to stay on the floor, dealing with a little bit of a hand injury as well there. So he did battle through some things. And again, in fairness to Paul, he wasn't brought in to be Batman here. He was brought in to be a complimentary piece.
Great point. Yeah.
And when Joel Embiid is not there, like, the power balance of the team does not function as designed. So I think it was a mess of a season on just about all parts. Paul George was sort of a symptom of that, or an effect of that, more than a cause. And I do think next year that with a clean slate in second year, he'll be a little bit better. And I think we can be optimistic about that.
So what you're saying, Sean, is there is hope for the 76ers team down the road. They're not going to be the Washington Wizards, correct?
They will not. This certainly, I do think, will be a one down year and back in the mix. Again, the draft pick is that huge asterisk that we got to keep throwing. But the other guy that I'll throw up, and that's throw in the same conversation here, we forget just how good Jared McCain looked in that brief stretch that he was there this season.
Yep.
I'm really optimistic about him in the long haul, and as soon as next year that he can really transform this offense and things look a lot different. So even if there is not a little luck in the lottery here, that is going to be like a notable improvement for next year.
Absolutely. And look, one of the storylines that we have been following and talking about, thinking about, is where this Sixers front office may go this offseason as well. And the questions are persisting about Daryl Morey and his tenure with the Philadelphia 76ers. I guess, do you think the Sixers front office, Josh Harris and company, end up keeping Daryl Morey around after this season? And second, if they do, how does Daryl Morey approach this upcoming offseason in terms of priorities? What are your thoughts here, Sean?
Yeah, I do lean toward yes as far as Daryl Morey being back here. I don't think it's a surefire lock in that, and I would understand if the organization wants to go a different direction. But I honestly think that this year is a little bit of a case of you can make all the right decisions and things still do go wrong. That I do think Daryl Morey, for the most part, took the pathway and made the decisions that were the greatest chance at the Sixers looking like a real contender this year. It just didn't work out, and that chance obviously was not successful there. And for all the bad that he did do and the stuff that, he has to wear as far as the Paul George contract not aging well, the extension to Joel Embiid, you still got to give him props for the other things that he do. Gershon Yabusele was a slam dunk minimum signing there. Jared McCain, an excellent draft pick at 21. Did some other pretty creative things at the bottom of this kind of salary cap picture. Quentin Grimes, the chance to re-sign him, is another one I would point to there. So yes, it was not a ideal season where we're seeing the results on the floor, but I don't think Morey's specific process was the biggest issue in all this. Now, when there is a season that's off the rails, someone tends to catch the brunt of the blame here.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
kind of think it's more likely to be Nick Nurse in this situation, especially in the ecosystem, which I mean, in this past 2 weeks, we've seen Taylor Jenkins and Michael Malone be fired from the Nuggets and the Grizzlies over there
Yeah.
for doing far less or having far reasons there. So I more so lean towards Daryl Morey being back, but it wouldn't outright shock me if the organization does decide to change it.
I'm with you, actually. I do think that Daryl Morey's still going to be with this team. Like you said, you can make all the right moves during the course of an offseason, and sometimes things just go south with what you had available for you. So just a couple more topics here, Sean, and then we're going to end this podcast this week. We've been seeing players like Quentin Grimes playing some pretty good basketball down the stretch here. You know, Adam Bona has shown some development too, since he has been given some opportunities here and there this season. I'm wondering, which players do you think are going to be kept around for next season based on really how they played down the stretch here?
Yeah, and one of the things that's been nice for this Sixers team with the expectations off the table is you've kind of gotten a chance to just try out a bunch of guys, see what these
Right.
guys can really do in different roles. A guy like Quentin Grimes playing with the most basketball freedom of his entire NBA career. It is wild at 24 years old. A guy that was a first-round pick and has some decent pedigree to his name, is already on his 4th NBA team. But he's showing what he can do, and that is a guy I do think will be back on the Sixers team. The only chance that I don't see it happening is if a team, primarily the Brooklyn Nets, are the only one that really have an opportunity to do this from a cap perspective, but throw just a ridiculous offer to kind of lure him away from the organization. But I do think when they made that trade, this was pretty locked in, that the intention was to return Quentin Grimes. They do hold his bird rights. He will be a restricted free agent. So there is sort of every advantage that you could ask for as an organization for retaining that player there. A lot of the young talent has shined. Adem Bona, I've been really impressed with of late. He exploded for a 28-point performance not that long ago. A guy that there's a clear pathway to him being a running, shot blocking, just your standard NBA center that can survive and have a 10 to 15 year career there. Justin Edwards, another dude who I could not be more impressed with, which the way that he's scaled up his offensive role, showing what he can do, that's the guy I think is a surefire rotation player next year. Guy like Jared Butler has been impressive, and that is a dude I would think stick around. Will probably run the 2nd or 3rd unit as a point guard next year. Lonnie Walker, sort of a similar story. We're starting to see him come into form here.
Yep.
And that's a guy who has NBA pedigree, who has been successful in the league before. He was a little bit rocky when he first returned to the United States, to Philadelphia, and to the NBA there. We're finally seeing his feet kind of settle in. So a lot of these bottom of the roster guys, I do think will end up sticking around. It is strange for a season that has a record with what we currently sit at. We're talking about all these guys wanting them back and that they will be back here. But I do think that's sort of the state of things.
Again, folks, we are talking to Sean Barnard from Fox Sports Phillies, The Gambler. They do such great work over there. Follow Sean on the Twitter/X at Sean_Bernard1. He is a great, great follow. And also subscribe to Pick Swap Media. They're talking everything Sixers and in the world of Philly sports too. I know you've gotten into some Phillies and some Eagles stuff as well over there, Sean. Do you have anything else you want to promo before I ask you this last question, buddy?
Yeah, you pretty much nailed it there. I do
All
some
right.
work on Sixers Digest and Phillies Digest on the YouTube channels as well, and also writer for DraftKings, so cranking out plenty
That's
of content for them as well. But I
Absolutely.
appreciate it.
Yep, you got it, buddy. So as we're ending the discussion here, finally, if you had one realistic offseason move that you hope the Sixers would make to really benefit this team long-term, what would that one move be and why?
I mean, not that it's one fully in their control, but the ideal for me is absolutely Cooper Flagg being a member of the Philadelphia 76ers.
There you go.
And I do think that's like a short and long-term accomplishment that as of next year, he can step in to be a guy to play next to Joel Embiid, as well as hold down a full-time kind of center spot in the games where Embiid is not there. And in the long run, if we're talking about a starting core of Tyrese Maxey, Jared McCain, and Cooper Flagg, I do think that is like the foundation of a contender for 10 years to come there. So Cooper Flagg would be the ideal one for me. It does all come down to that draft lottery and seeing where they slot in. Keeping the draft pick in itself would be a win, but if you can get up to that number 1 pick and get a guy like Flagg, that would be a franchise-changing day.
It's going to be interesting to see where this Philadelphia 76ers team goes for sure. Again, folks, Sean Barnard, thank you, buddy, so much for taking the time to join us. Very much appreciate it. And I'm hoping that you jump back on at some point down the road. I'd love to have you back on the podcast.
Yeah, absolutely, Jeff. Appreciate you having me on once again. And yeah, I think it will be better days. We'll have a little bit more reason for hope coming this summer for the Sixers team. So.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's going to do it for us, folks, here at the PST Podcast Show as we are celebrating and recognizing 12 years of this show. Follow us on various social media sites out there. Take care, and we will catch you next time.